Hey guys, I'm Dave Madgett from Minnesota Legal Assistance. Today I'm going to talk to you about indirect disputes. The term indirect, slightly misleading because the indirect dispute is the key dispute that you want to do for an FCRA dispute. You do not want to do a direct dispute. An indirect dispute will preserve your rights under the law, whereas a direct dispute will not preserve your rights under the law. It is very important to understand the difference. An indirect dispute occurs where the consumer disputes something on their credit report and transmits their dispute directly to the CRA. When I say transmits a dispute, that could be via Experian or TransUnion's website specifically designed for the acceptance of disputes. It can also be the most traditional and I would argue most robust means, which is simply a certified mail letter stating, hey, this is a big deal, spelling out exactly what you believe to be incorrect and transmitting that to the address on file for the CRA for the receipt of these disputes, okay? So it's important that you follow that process or rely on a professional who has done it before. I generally try to steer people away from credit repair companies because they're just sending frivolous disputes or disputing things that aren't necessarily inaccurate. I would steer you towards a consumer lawyer or a legal assistance organization to perform this type of operation if you can't do it yourself. But there are a ton of resources online, and I encourage you to send that first round yourself. I would suspect that you can handle this. Read up and make sure that you specify your dispute. Certainly, give accurate information and attempt to be clear in exactly what you believe to be inaccurate when transmitting that information to the CRA. Okay, so indirect dispute, the consumer sends that information, that dispute, to the CRA. The CRA, the Consumer Reporting Agency, so this is TransUnion, Equifax, Experian, then translates that dispute and sends that information down to the furnisher. Now, when they're translating it, they're going to use something called Metro 2 to determine specific codes that they generally will use. So they'll translate it from your written letter, which is, in 2020, I was a victim of identity theft because someone hacked my Equifax file, and therefore I noticed that there were these accounts on there and blah, 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 blah. Well, the CRA will generally just take that and say, account not theirs, verify certain information, right? And that will just be a code. It will be translated into an alphanumeric code, which the furnisher or the people who work within the furnisher in the credit reporting area will know what that code means and be able to perform an investigation based on that code. So the CRA will translate into a code, and they will fill that code onto something called an ACDV. What is an ACDV? You'll see this term when when you get into the really complex FCRA cases. You'll see stuff like this come up, or you get into depositions, for example. You'll see this ACDV come up. This is nothing more than the translation of the Metro 2 coding onto a form, which is then transmitted down to the furnisher. But this form is important because of a couple of different things. One, it's the the Consumer Reporting Agency's translation of the consumer dispute. So that translation might not be accurate, right? You might say, hey, this is due to identity theft, and they translate it to wrong address, right? So there can be things that are lost in translation, and in the event that happens, where that CRA performs their duties under the FCRA in a negligent manner, which I will be honest with you, I have noticed in my own experience, in my own opinion, that they're more often negligent than they are attentive to their responsibilities under the law. When they inevitably translate this or mistranslate it into the ACDV form, you'll want to find that form. Find that form and you say, hey, look, this form is not reflective of the dispute that I sent. And that right there can be a basis for an FCRA suit. in the event that the information is translated correctly, there's still other disputes can occur, right? So that ACDV then goes down to the furnisher who fulfills their duty under the FCRA, which the section that requires them to perform their own investigation is 15 USC 1681 S2. So they are required then to perform their investigation at this level. And they will rely on that ACDV to figure out what investigation they should be performing. So you can see quickly how things could go wrong if they got translated incorrectly in the first place. The furnisher will then perform their investigation and respond to the ACDV there'll be form fields on there, and they fill that thing back out, and it goes back up to the CRA. You'll see this eOscar thing. Irrelevant. Don't worry about it. All that is the protocol for transmitting the ACDV back and forth between the CRA and the furnisher. So minimal concern. The concern here is the ACDV form. This is the thing you're looking for. This used to be referred to as a CDV. If you were reading older cases, this is a consumer dispute verification form. That was pre-automated computer dispute verification form. And basically it was a piece of paper that was filled out versus this electronic transmission of documents. So that is the direct dispute process and some of the terminology that you will hear at an advanced level from within FCRA litigation. And I would encourage everybody to continue to review our videos and learn about this terminology, because even if you're not a lawyer practicing in the FCRA area, this can be extremely beneficial to just understanding your rights under the FCRA. And as I always say as a lawyer, the client is almost always better versed than the lawyer in terms of the facts, right? I mean, you know what happened to you a lot of the time better than your lawyer. Your lawyer might know the law and certainly be able to persuasively argue for your position, but you always know the facts better. So, I always say go and with your knowledge of the facts, learn more about it and relay this information to your attorney if practicing in this area. Now, generally consumer lawyers who practice in the FCRA are going to be quite versed in this, but at least you'll know where to ask the questions. So continue to review our video series, continue to learn the various terms when engaging in FCRA litigation, and continue to preserve your rights under the FCRA. Thanks a lot.